The hijab. Isn't it such a wonderful piece of clothing that women wear because they want to feel empowered and strong and free? Because they come from a culture where men care so much about women that they want them to be protected from being molested by men. And therefore, women cover themselves up. During my break that I'm slowly coming back from, I have been quite active on Twitter. And when I decided one day to state that supporting the hijab was contrary to what feminism stands for, a big shot feminist on Twitter didn't understand what I was saying, of course, and attacked me, saying that the hijab was so empowering, so brutally empowering. She also taught me that I can't talk about feminism because I don't have a uterus. I understand now that I should leave women's rights issues to women because I'm a man and not a woman. I have learned. I have ever since also expanded on that idea and decided that I should leave animals' rights issues to animals because I'm not an animal. Whatever, make sure you follow this guy on Twitter. It is amazing to me that so many people in the West think that the hijab is something beautiful, something to praise, something to appreciate. Especially in modern Western feminist circles, in their aim to supposedly support the liberation and rights of women, in their desire to support the right to wear the hijab or not to be judged for it, they go to such lengths and become extreme. They become incredibly unreasonable and claim that the hijab was something beautiful, something empowering, a symbol of empowerment. And thereby they go against social development and liberation and directly put an obstacle to the liberation of women who actually need to be freed.
The hijab was forced on me at the age of 9. You are to be a wrapped up, clean candy as opposed to a dirty candy that is unwrapped and covered in flies and dirt. When I got older, I wanted to remove the hijab. When my family found out about this desire of mine, they threatened to kill me, and then they disowned me.
You know, you can support the right to do something without praising that certain thing, without telling everyone how amazing it is. You can say that people can be prostitutes if they want to be prostitutes, without becoming a prostitute yourself, or without declaring that prostitution is so amazing. You can support the right to adultery. You can say people shouldn't be punished for sleeping around with other people, without proposing that unfaithfulness, breaking the love and trust of your partner, was a wonderful thing to do. You can support a woman's right to stay at home, without proposing that obeying a husband who wants you to stay at home was a wonderful and empowering thing to do. And this is about what the hijab is about. Why do people think the hijab is a thing? Because women came up with the idea that covering themselves up was a productive practice that brought them closer to Allah? Because women thought not showing themselves to the public would make them feel safer, and that somehow became a thing all around the world, regardless of any scripture, and people just followed it all around the world. That sounds great, but no. The hijab became a thing ever since the Qur'an ordered women to veil themselves and to hide themselves in public from men. This was ordered in at least 2 Quran verses, one of them clearly saying that believing women have to cover their adornments, which stands for the beauties of a woman's body, and to draw their veils or headscarves over their bosoms. In another verse, Muhammad is told to tell all women of the believers, the Quran usually speaks to men, not to women directly, to cover themselves with veils, so they are recognized and not molested. This means that these women need to be recognized as believing women, and it should be clear that since they are veiled, they are not available to immoralities like flirtations and stares by men, that they can't be approached and drooled over by the horny men of 7th century Arabia, because only whores and slaves, by big scholar Ibn Kathir's definition, are like that. Notice what this means. This strong religion could simply tell men to be respectful with women and to strictly abstain from such practices. But no, it gives men the higher authority, since men enforce Islamic law, and orders women to cover up in order to be moral. This is not about protecting women. It is about forcing the precaution on women, because women can be pushed around easier and ordered to do something. Telling men to just keep it together was not convenient to the founders of Islam, Muhammad and his friends. The Hadith, narrations about Muhammad and his companions, tell us even further how Muhammad's close advisor and second Caliph Umar advised Muhammad to establish such a ruling, and that then this order appeared in the Qur'an, which is supposed to be a book entirely from the Almighty Allah. The Hadith also tell us that all the women would immediately observe the veiling, that once this ruling was made, all the women came out of their houses and wore their veils and looked like they had crows on their heads. On top of that, if we want to come closer to today, according to Pew Research, 60% of women believe that it's a woman's choice if she observes the order to veil or not, which means 40% don't think it's a woman's choice. And this question is only whether a woman has a say in wearing a veil or not. Of course, the number of people who believe it is religiously obligatory is much higher than just 40%, especially since that is an essential part of both Sunni Islam and Shia Islam, and Ibadi Islam, which no one really cares about, and Ahmadi Islam, which most Muslims don't even consider Islam. So obviously, this is a mandated ruling by men and supposedly by the Almighty Allah through men to women. How could this possibly be united with the idea of feminism? It can't be. Modern Western feminists just seem to pick up the hijab issue because it is worn by Muslim women. Women. And a minority. Women from a minority in the West wear the hijab. Therefore, the hijab is empowering. Just ignore the fact that Islam is an absolute majority in a bigger part of the world, and that it dominates and socially or legally mandates the hijab. But I get it. Okay, the hijab is originally oppressive and primitive, but many women want to wear the hijab because it is part of their religion, and they should have every right to wear the hijab, and we should be fighting for that. And we should call it empowering and amazing because women want to do that. But if that is the logic, can't we apply the same logic to different things? Like wife beating. In Afghanistan, 92% of women, I repeat, women, think a husband has the right to beat his wife. Yes, dear white feminist, this is reality beyond the international borders of your college campus. So if Afghan women think that wife beating is totally okay because wife beating is part of their religion and because they choose to accept wife beating as a normal practice, should we then go out and say wife beating can be very empowering to many women who find it beautiful and love to be beaten? Should we say, actually, being a feminist means you 1,000,000% support a woman's choice to be beaten by her husband and practice whatever religion she wants to practice, whether she chooses to be unharmed or to have black eyes. She's empowering herself in what she wants. But thank you for the take on feminism, man. Please don't beat wives. There's nothing empowering about it. But then who am I to speak? Am I a woman? No. I'm a filthy man. I can't just say that. But since I'm already speaking, if you like this video, don't forget to share this video, especially with women, not with men, because it's an issue about women, so that they can watch this video and like it as well, and agree with me. You can also support me on Patreon, and I would appreciate that very much, and I would talk even more about women's issues just for you. To all you other filthy men and empowered women out there, I have just one more thing to say. Stay away from Islam.